had left some of the negatives out of her letters to me, for fear that I wouldn't come to Antioch. I came to empathize with her as one of the only blacks. Any black who has been a pioneer, breaking the color line in any corporate, government, or educational position will know what I mean. Students and faculty considered Edith an expert in race relations. She was expected to know all about anything that happened to anyone anywhere in Black America, and to have answers. Whites wouldn't want to have normal conversations with her. They just wanted to discuss the Negro problem morning, noon, and night. This became a burden. Also, while Edith was tall and attractive, with that striking Native American look from our mother's side of the family, none of the white guys had the courage to formally ask her out. While Edith's Antioch experience was far from perfect, it didn't sour her on higher education. She transferred from Antioch in her final year, graduated from Ohio State in 1949, received a master's in English from Columbia University, and later an MFA in theater from Boston University. In 1954, she married Arthur Bagley, a graduate of Cheney University who received his doctorate in education from the University of Maryland. Years later, Edith joined the faculty of Cheney, where she founded the theater arts major. She retired in 1996 as Associate Professor of Fine Arts in the Department of English. Arthur was the chair of the Industrial Arts Department. When I arrived at Antioch, I saw some of the difficulties Edith had experienced. What irritated me especially was the ability of some whites to accept me only as long as they could separate me from my race. People would say ignorant things like, "Well, you're so different from the rest of them," as if they actually knew the 11 million rest of them. Often people asked me, "Why aren't there more blacks at Antioch?" The questioner's tone usually suggested it was our fault for not being there in larger numbers, giving no consideration to the economic barriers or institutional racism that had been blocking blacks from gaining a quality education since the days of slavery. I also faced a painful scenario when it came to my love life, when in my junior year I had my first experience with interracial dating, something that never could have happened back home in the South, where miscegenation was outlawed and punishable by imprisonment. Even in the North, the practice was ahead of its time. The Antioch student body was virtually all white. In my class, there were only a few black students, so there was an unspoken expectation that I would date a certain black guy. My Cupid friends had selected a nice young black man to be my date, but I resented their matchmaking. In retrospect, I see that it would have been nice at least to have gone out with him. He was Leon Higginbotham Jr., now deceased, who became one of the first blacks appointed to the federal bench. I chose, however, to date one of the Jewish guys, Walter Rybeck, a fourth-year student from Wheeling, West Virginia, and my piano accompanist. We dated for about 2 years, doing fun things together like bird watching and attending folk festivals. We became rather serious about each other and discussed marriage, but I wanted a career, and he was concerned about the racial and religious identity of our children. Would they be half Jewish, half Christian, half black, half white? We were stymied at the thought of the many barriers we would have to cross. We soon had an experience that would answer our nagging questions about whether we could be happy together as an interracial couple. On Tuesday, November 9th, 1948, I made my singing debut at Second Baptist Church in Springfield, Ohio, with Walter as my accompanist. The performance, publicized in several local papers such as the Xenia Gazette, was well attended with more than 100 people in the audience. Still beaming from our success after the concert, Walter and I attended a folk dancing festival in Wheeling, West Virginia. Walt got out of the car to place a phone call to his parents, asking them to meet us at a certain restaurant in town. When he got back in the car, I had one question. What about me? He paused, searching for words. It had not even dawned on him that I would not be allowed to eat at the restaurant he'd selected. When his parents arrived, we ate somewhere else, but the experience depressed me and marred the weekend. It gave us a powerful glimpse of what an interracial marriage would be like and the challenges we'd face if we stayed together. One of us would be welcome somewhere, the other would not be. One would be associated with what was right with the world, the other